So, okay. Record. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay, it looks like we're live. I almost just want to double check these other places and see what it looks like. So, hi everybody, if you're joining us, this is our first time trying this. And we are with the beautiful Kamaile Puaʻoi. And yeah, and we'll see. And even if this doesn't stream live and it like doesn't work, we have the Zoom recording and we can just go from there too. So let's just begin. Thank you for being here.
I'm super stoked. We're doing it.
I know we're doing it. And Kamaile is someone that like we circle around, like orbit around each other, I feel like for so long, and we've just never gotten to connect. We have so many mutual friends. We do similar work. I feel like we have similar hearts in how we love to serve our community and our passion about health and natural medicine and all the things. And I'm just so excited that I finally get to connect. And it's funny, first connection is via live stream, but that is okay. I mean, we know each other, we've hugged and stuff, but having an actual sit down conversation, I'm really excited. So thank you so much for joining.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And I'm super stoked that we're, seeing a health hui, that you've birthed this and we're now, tending to the postpartum of it all, So yeah.
I mean, I still feel like I'm in labor sometimes. It's like
I know, right?
maybe breaching, coming out a little bit and then going back
Yeah.
in. Like like we're still there. And honestly, like the part that has been the most terrifying yet the whole like reason to do it is to connect, engage, uplift, like with community. So it's like the scariest part because that's so vulnerable and it's so like, all the things, and that's the whole reason, right? And so we do our work. And so on that note, I'd love to hear like a little bit about you and like your journey to just where you're at right now and a little bit of background. Where are you from?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Well, mahalo for having me. My name is Kamaile Puaʻoi, and I have been born and raised here on the windward side of Oahu. I've lived in the mainland, and I've lived on Maui, and always seem to find my way to the east side. I seem to like the sunrise, apparently over the sunset. So maybe I just like the wet climates. I don't know. But yes, my journey, especially in pertaining to, the health hui and the Lāhui, has really kind of started years and years ago. It was actually on Maui that I was let go of my position in corporate, America, if you will, at the Grand Lailea. And I think that was when 9/11 hit us and we were just like, bye, see ya. And it was such a huge wake up call, to realize that you're so expendable just like that. But Keakua provided, I was on unemployment for 6 months. I surfed every single day, which is basically my church. And I, absolutely loved having that moment to just redefine myself. And I found myself in a place where it's like, I really wanted to dive deeper, and I was already starting to ask a lot of questions about who am I? Do I come from a healing background? Why do I feel this way? Why do I want to know this stuff? Why do I, why do I connect with that part of life and healing and all the things? And so the logical choice for me was then to start in Lomi Lomi. So I decided to, well, it wasn't necessarily Lomi Lomi, it was massage school. But it was there that I learned Lomi Lomi. I actually got taught by my kumu, who I just absolutely adore. His name is Maka'ala Yates. He lives on the mainland. However, he came here. He learned from Auntie Margaret Machado directly as one of her first students. And so I feel honored to pass on that genealogy. Ho'oponopono has always been something that I have held near and dear to my heart. And he also shared that with me. And then, of course, I would go on to find many different kumu throughout my lifetime. And it wasn't until, fast forward plenty years, it wasn't until the birth of my first son, I finally was blessed to conceive at 43 and gave birth at 44. And he brought so many blessings, only because, again, I had to pivot and shift, and I wasn't going to let the opportunity of being a mama finally go to him being raised by anyone else. And so I had to shift out of what was then my profession of NoHo Designs, and creating health in our home, and things for our environment, to taking a creative hiatus, and then really offering up Puaʻoi to know what it is that I needed to do next. And this profession this tool that I've, added to my belt, of nutrigenomics and cellular health, just really aligned with everything that I knew on an indigenous level that I've learned for over 18 years. And just, I love it because it provides me the opportunity to actually still raise my son, and then especially now that I'm a single mama. So that is me in a quickie.
That is the quickie. That's like, I feel like decades, right? That that little
It was decades.
so good. And that's when I feel like we first connected, when you were doing NoHo Designs, right?
Yes.
When I think
Yes.
I first met you, and that's so cool. So
I
much.
know.
And I mean, I feel like you have such a amazing background, and I can really relate to just like that inner knowing of like, why am I so focused on this? Why do I love this? Why do I want to know more? Why is it's hard to ignore that and just pretend like it's just, oh yeah, just hobby interest. It really pulls at you when I think you feel the need to heal. And
Yeah.
that's such a heavy word and a heavy kuleana, really. And
Mm.
but that's so cool that I feel like you've stepped into it in a way that felt really authentic to you.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point, that it really is. Hi, baby. Um, that is the reason why we heal, right? Is the 7 generations forward and the 7 generations back, and really not to carry on anything that no longer serves us, and that we want to see, healed and perpetuated in the future, but really take a good look at what is no longer serving us, or any of our ohana. And I love that knowledge, from our kupuna, that once we actually, and that was part of my training with Ho'oponopono too, once we actually shift the energies and change what is right now within us, literally there is no connection. Once you oki that there, and you actually know how to heal that, there's no connection and no space even provided for that to remain a source of iha, that you carry on forward, or that you connect to in the past. You can view it, you can see it, but you no longer, you make the commitment, I should say, to no longer connect to that pain, or even that, that pattern, of really just disconnect. So anyway,
Can I ask,
yeah.
but I kind of have a follow-up on that. Why is it that, like, because you're saying, right, like it's not that it's hard to disconnect, like it's a conscious choice. It's doable, right? Almost for any human to be able to acknowledge that and choose to heal, and
Totally.
be released from that trauma. And why are so many people stuck in like a trauma response cycle, whether it's generational, whether it's just their own experiences? Like, what keeps the human in that cycle?
Oh, that is such a beautiful question. And in fact, that is one that I've been diving into in many different circles lately, because anyway, it really, I'm trying to expound upon my base of knowledge and understanding of Ho'oponopono and what that means, and how is it that we are getting it into our daily practice, just, to use it as a tool, because it's almost like scary to share it, to, do I know enough to share it, that type of thing. So anyway, going back to your question is, why do we not utilize that? Why do we stay stuck, so to speak? One, we, I think, I mean, everything to me, and I'm sure that you would agree, and that's why we're here, is everything is mana, right? Everything is energy. Everything is really relationship to energy. And so when we sever some of that knowing and that understanding, and then we start to numb that knowing and understanding, because it's too vulnerable, because it's too, maybe even viewed as niele, like, oh, like I want to be I want to be humble enough to not, be so inquisitive that I'm stepping over, certain genealogical boundaries of certain families and whatnot. But if we stop the process of that protocol, this is of course my perspective, if we stop that protocol of just stopping and having relationship to all things, the aina, the wind that is coming through today, like, do you know its name anymore? All of these things, even down to the fact, like, do you have a relationship with the foods that we're eating? Because that actually is helping to hold us and block us from being manaful, for to ho'omana ourselves in that way that allows clarity, discernment, connection, and in all of that, pule, and there's so many different things that you could add to the twisting and turning of events, if you will, that shape who we are today. But like you said, boom, it's right there. Like,
Yeah.
when you're saying earlier, like, oh, you had that inner calling or whatever, it's like your kupunas, I always laugh, like they go, doot, 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 doot. And they're like, doot, ah, and then all of a sudden you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I got hit, where was that coming from? And I was like, duh, didn't you feel the nudge? Didn't you feel the tap on the shoulder? Didn't you get all the messages? Like, are you tuned in? And there's so many things that help us to tune out, including our scroll system.
Oh,
you
right.
know
And so, like, what I'm hearing too is like it's our lifestyle that like keeps us in this cycle of being stuck and thinking that we're stuck and not making the time to connect to things that would lead us to healing, really.
Yeah, yeah. So it's easier. I mean, anything is easier when we just fall into routine. We like our routine. We don't have to mix it up. We don't have to get raw. We don't have to change anything. None of us like change. We're creatures of habit, and we fall within that, actually, for way of actually providing for life. Learning how to move in a pack herd that actually helps to protect us, from the dangers, quote unquote dangers out there. But who is our herd? Where is our ohana system? How are we connecting? Who is guiding that pack? And most of us are closed off in so many different ways and boxed into so many different boxes, throughout our lives or our careers, or so we have different like circles, and we're this face in this place and this face in that place, and all of these things. But really, again, that goes down to mana, right? And what I like to talk about is the habits. What protocol are you establishing for yourself? What habits are you establishing for yourself in order to really, I think there's a quote that says, at the end of the day, who you are is truly just an addition of all your habits. And so who are influencing those habits, I was just thinking the other day, like, if I want to be that kupuna lady that, is like, hey, we gotta go talk to Auntie Kamaile, or, go see Auntie Kamaile. She does Lomi in her garage kind of thing. Like, it would behoove me to probably hang out with that kupuna now and enjoy that space, so I can paint the vision in my mind of a little bit more clear of who I want to become, and maybe hear and listen in to the relationships that were had that actually helped to shape that kupuna's world or whatever. So anyway,
No,
yeah,
absolutely. And oh my gosh, thanks for sharing all that.
I know, sorry.
No, I love that. And I think it's important to talk about, because I feel like sometimes it can feel very mysterious. And that's something that I want to also provide with the Health Hui, is not having it be so mysterious, but connecting with who you feel connected to, and trusting that that is the right path for you, versus like everything under the sun. We can look on social media and I can feel like I'm doing everything wrong, even though I'm doing a lot, right? And it's like, no, what I'm doing is wrong because they said, or they said. And sometimes you have to just trust that, like, you have all of it at your disposal, but also you yourself know the best path to who to connect with, who to align with, what to do. And that's highly underrated, but that is, so important. I also want to get into, I want to hear your definition of what is biohacking. Like, what is biohacking
Ooh.
our health, and why even like learn a little bit more about that?
Oh, that is so fun. What a fun question. Okay. So I hated the word biohacking. Like,
I
literally, I was like,
did too, so I
this,
get it.
the indigenous Kamaile Puaʻoi from a very, like Aina based knowledge,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this makes me, want to throw up. Just the word of biohacking, because I mean, to me, what conjures up in my mind, and that it's really everything for us, right? What is our reference, and what pictures come up in our mind? And that means that there's some scientist in a lab that's trying to develop who we should be in this perfect world that actually is non-native to anything, but it's really, it's like so weird to think about. But really what I realized, and it took some time to actually adopt um who I was, as now, I play around, and on Instagram my handle is that I'm the everyday biohacking mompreneur, and really what I realized is that I get to own my own hacks. I get to own my own hacks to better my biology. So, because science tells us that, basically epigenetics tells us that basically we're 97%, 96 to 97% malleable in basically even our genetic code, based on the choices that we make now. So if I am not making conscious choices, if I no longer have that relationship with any of the choices that I'm making, what I surround myself with, the color of my wall, the people that I hang out with, the foods that I eat, the products that I use, in and around my home and my body and my family, my ohana, then I am just as blind to the end result of all of those little increments of use along the way. And then all of a sudden, boom, we have cancer. All of a sudden, boom, we have, this chronic illness. So biohacking to me is really biohacking into, like, literally just choosing day by day what are some of the things that you can do to hack your system of life, to change out, to swap out the toxins, to choose a better path, to educate yourself, in order for you to do that. And the nice thing is that, girl, like you and I, like, and so many others, our circles, we already are ma'a to that. We're like, oh yeah, we don't use this. This is what we use. This da da da. This is my la'o. Da 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 da. And then there's some things where we turn a blind eye, and and we're still feeding our kids, chips. I'm noting it. Like chips that are actually, known to cause cancer. I'm like, okay, like we can search a little bit more. We can always do a little bit more. 80-20 rule. great if we can at least start there, you know. But what was interesting is that I had a friend who had gone through cancer on the mainland, and I was like, Carrie, you gotta change this. You know, don't do this. Like it was a simple thing. She like used Glade plugins, and I was like, girl, just stop. Like get the diffuser or whatever. You know, if you need that smelly smell, because this and this, right? And she made that immediate change, and she's like, oh my gosh, I researched it, I couldn't believe. And she goes, everything that you do and you share with me, I have no clue. I would have had no idea as to that was actually adding to probably part of my sickness. And she said everybody that she knows has no clue. And I was like, really? Wait, what? Because we have these kinds of conversation. I learned from you, like you maybe picked something up from me, and then it like I feel like in Hawaii, I don't know what it is, but or is maybe it's just we're blessed with the circles that we carry,
Yeah.
um, but we get to do it every single day, and it leads to a better choice and a better choice and a better choice and a better choice, and that's what biohacking is to me, is just what choice can I make today that is going to benefit not only the here and now, but also the future. Because
Totally.
this mama wants to live to 120. I had my baby when I was older, so
Yeah.
that is part of my biohacking journey. So
Absolutely. And I think it's about wanting to live long and longing to like live full and healthy to that point, right? Like it's
yes,
parts. And I love that. Thank you for that explanation about biohacking, because
uh,
same, the word itself just sounds like very scientific and it can get very scary, but it's what we already do. It's all
yeah,
that part of your mind that's like, how can I make this better? How can I do things that will help me live, a more prosperous life, really? So
yeah.
and then okay, so I know you said you're working on something new, and I also would, if there's time for you to share that, like,
Yeah,
you ready? Okay.
I am. Are you ready? I can
I'm
talk.
always ready.
I know. Okay, let me turn on the fan. Hold on one second.
And I still have no idea if we're like streaming everywhere, but if we're not, I'm gonna post this everywhere after anyways.
I know. Well, if they're listening this long, like, woohoo!
Yeah, we got this.
Um, but I think all of this is relatable, and I think these conversations really need to happen on a more to everyday, basis. Not that they don't, but it's nice to hear. And you never know. My kumu always said that you it only takes one person to become a positive epidemic, and I just love that, and I always share that, that if we become the change and the ripple, who knows how that is going to manifest outwards, and and if we have enough pebbles in making those ripples, that's when we make lasting change. So um but yeah, I'm so thankful for this conversation. But as far as what I'm working on, I truly love what I do. I love the products that I stand behind, in regards to the cellular health, the mana that I help to really shift and change and better from the inside out. It really just resonates with my teaching and who I've been. However, as you know, as a creative, I am constantly like just taking in knowledge and learning and self-developing my own processes to really finding myself. And it kind of actually goes back to just entrepreneur. It's like my page, there's so many people who are like, what do you do? And I'm like, I don't know, I just learn all this stuff and I just want to share it, and it has no coherence whatsoever. But I'm like, okay, I'll come back over here in a minute, but there's so many things that I've done that I continue to do to help to expand my awareness of healing myself, really. So with that said, what I did was I actually put all of that together in this, I call it the Biohacking 8-track, so I'll be going back to the 70s, girl. And so the Biohacking 8-track, and really what that is it's 8 specific kind of areas and genres of your life of how I really not only habit stack, but I've really kind of learned how to tweak and mold things that will stack upon each other so that it's an easy and yet also helps to expedite the process of the, gosh, at least 30 years of me going through, okay, this, not to say that, you got a hunger for your own knowledge and your own quest inside, but this really encompasses, the course and the workshops that will come from it, really encompasses something that I feel that touches all subjects. And really what that is it's sleep. We go over the importance of sleep, interesting enough. Mana and relationship to everything and your spiritual connection to everything. It goes into diet and nutrition. And I'm not a nutritionist, but I will have, some guest speakers and whatnot. And yourself is included on my list. And nutrigenomics, of course, because that's the lens in which I share from. It will go into movement and exercise and why that is so important. And sometimes one of the last things on our list to actually increase or improve, especially as we're getting older. Financial health, because if you're not financially healthy, that really plays a huge part on just the stressors that come up and how our body reacts to all those stressors. Let's see here. What are the other ones? I forgot already. Let's see here. Oh, detoxing. This is my favorite one. Detoxing, cleaning, and then clearing your spaces, because everything around you want to support you versus being heavy in your area. That carrying that mana serves no one any good. Mindset and mantras, really learning how to personalize some mantras that are going to help to reprogram that subliminal tape that runs in our head, that 8-track. And then the last being community impact and community love, because that one love concept, it really, if I'm working on myself, I'm working on everyone. If I'm doing good for myself, and really, my friend and my oracle, I call her Puni, she said, maybe not worry about the macro so much, Kamaile. You're such a big picture person. Maybe just worry about the micro. Like, just start, because I was wanting to learn how to grow microgreens in my own home, and she's like, just worry about the micro, because all those little micros are gonna become your macro. So I love always her wisdom. But yeah, that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about packaging it, sharing it, getting on speaking platforms, that type of thing. And then that way, hopefully, again, if I touch one person, out of the many, or even our opio, as they start to grow into themselves, it would warm my heart, to help to give them tools that Auntie Kamaile has learned.
That is, oh my gosh, it's such a full spectrum of health.
Yeah.
And again, I think sometimes it's like we get very tunnel vision and we forget that there's other aspects that really uplift and aid to our health. And I love that.
Yes.
I can't wait to connect with you more. Seriously, in the future, I know we're gonna do something together. I just know it.
I had it in my head the other day and then I lost it. So it's somewhere in my head. It was a brilliant idea, and I was like, I gotta reach out to Noelle. And I was like, and then I was like, oh, I forget what it was,
It'll happen. We'll figure it out.
I know.
Let us know, how can people connect with you after this?
Oh, definitely. Well, of course, Wellness with Mana anywhere. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well. I'm trying to get that going. And then, of course, I just launched the beginnings of wellnesswithmana.com. So that's up and shares mainly right now a little bit more about biohacking and LifeVantage. So thank you, sister.
Yes. I mean, this is a no-brainer, and I'm just, yeah, this is great. I could do this forever.
I
But we'll
know.
wrap up, and thank you.
Thank
Can't wait
you.
to see how this all progresses and all the goodness that you start with your micro, but there's no way it can't ripple out, and I love that.
I know. And well, and I certainly I've already planned you into the health talks, but I can't wait to learn a little bit more about how you support, that hormonal health, especially at my age. I will be 52 this July. So at my age, it's like hormones are
Yeah, yeah, they're changing it
becoming my specialty,
up. Changing it up. Oh,
Yes.
I love that. Well, yeah,
So I
you
know.
30, so that's great.
Yeah, well, yay. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you for Zoom correct. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
anytime.
yeah.
Okay,
Anyway,
Kamaile, I'm gonna end this.
yes. Aloha.
Aloha. Okay, wait. And then let's come here. Oops.
And I know it's going to end. I don't know if you
Yeah,
still recording.
okay, wait.